Most people think they understand why women are drawn to older men. They think it's about status, money, confidence, or experience. That's the surface story. But if you stay with me until the end of this video, you're going to hear something that will completely change how you see attraction, intimacy, and power, because the real reason is far more uncomfortable than most men are willing to face. Here's the truth no one says out loud. A woman does not desire an older man because of what he has. She desires him because of what he does not need from her. And once you understand this, you will never approach relationships the same way again. Most men try to impress. They perform, pursue, explain, chase validation, and call it confidence. But the men who quietly command desire do the opposite. They slow the room down. They don't rush intimacy. They don't bargain for affection. They don't collapse emotionally when things get uncertain. And this is exactly what makes them irresistible. In this video, we're going to dismantle the biggest myths around attraction and intimacy. You'll discover why excitement without safety always fails, why emotional stillness is more powerful than charm, why direction matters more than dominance, and why most men unknowingly push women away by trying too hard to be chosen. This is not motivational fluff. This is psychological truth, the kind that makes you uncomfortable because it forces you to look at yourself honestly. And if you stay until the end, you won't just understand women better. You'll understand yourself better. Because the real shift doesn't happen when you learn how to attract. It happens when you become the kind of man attraction naturally moves toward. Let's begin by dismantling the biggest misunderstanding people have about desire. Most assume attraction is built on excitement, on novelty, intensity, unpredictability. That desire needs adrenaline to stay alive. This belief is everywhere, and yet it collapses the moment you observe how women actually choose intimacy as they mature. Especially when they choose an older man, because what they are responding to is not stimulation, it is safety. Not the kind of safety that feels soft or passive, but psychological safety. The kind that allows the nervous system to settle. The kind that lets a woman stop performing and simply exist. When a woman desires intimacy with an older man, she is often responding to how she feels in his presence when nothing is happening. No flirting, no chase, just space, just calm, just the absence of pressure. This is where many men get confused. They think attraction must be loud to be real. They confuse drama with depth, urgency with importance. But desire that lasts is quiet. It is built in moments where nothing is demanded, where she does not feel watched, evaluated, or subtly tested. Emotional safety means she doesn't have to calculate her words or manage your reactions. She doesn't have to soften her truth to protect your ego. She can speak and trust that what she says won't be used against her later. That level of safety is rare, and rarity creates value. Psychologically, a woman's attraction is deeply tied to how regulated she feels around you. If your presence calms her nervous system, desire grows. If your presence creates tension, unpredictable moods, emotional withdrawal, sudden defensiveness, desire slowly shuts down. Not consciously at first. It happens in the body before it happens in the mind. This is why emotional safety cannot be faked. You can pretend to be confident, but you cannot pretend to be calm over time. You can say all the right words, but if your emotional state is unstable, her body will sense it. And her body will respond honestly, even if her mind tries to rationalize it. An older man who is desired understands this instinctively. He does not need to dominate conversations. He does not need to prove intelligence or status. He is comfortable with silence, comfortable with pauses, comfortable with her emotions without feeling responsible to fix or control them. This is not weakness. This is strength with restraint. A woman does not open herself emotionally to a man who collapses when she expresses discomfort. She does not trust a man who becomes cold when challenged. She does not feel safe with a man whose affection depends on her compliance. Emotional safety means consistency. It means your care is not a reward and your distance is not a punishment. Here is the part most people never say out loud. Many men use emotional instability as a tool. They withdraw to regain power. They create uncertainty to feel desired. They confuse being unpredictable with being attractive. But unpredictability may create short-term obsession. It does not create intimacy. Intimacy requires trust. And trust requires emotional reliability. An older man who offers emotional safety is someone whose reactions are proportionate, whose words align with his behavior, whose presence feels grounded even when topics become uncomfortable. He does not shame vulnerability, nor does he exploit it. He understands that when a woman shares something personal, she is not asking to be fixed. She is asking to be held emotionally without judgment. This is where psychological maturity becomes seductive. Because a woman who has experienced emotional chaos learns something important: excitement without safety is exhausting. Over time, her desire shifts. She no longer wants to be pulled into emotional storms. She wants a place to land, not to disappear, but to be fully seen without having to defend herself. And that landing place is created by a man who is emotionally regulated. Regulation does not mean emotionless. It means you are not ruled by your emotions. You can feel deeply without becoming reactive. You can hear criticism without turning it into a personal attack. You can sit with discomfort without running from it or turning it into conflict. Philosophically, this is where masculine maturity lies, not in dominance, but in containment. The ability to hold intensity without being consumed by it. The ability to create space where another person can expand rather than shrink. This is why emotional safety often feels magnetic. It is not exciting in the way chaos is exciting. It is grounding. And grounding allows desire to deepen rather than spike and crash. A woman who desires intimacy with an older man is often responding to the fact that she does not feel rushed in his presence. She does not feel pressured to define things prematurely. She does not feel like affection must be earned through performance. There is room to breathe, and in that room, attraction grows organically. What makes this powerful is that emotional safety also reveals your standards. You are not desperate. You are not clingy. You are not constantly seeking reassurance. Your calm communicates self-sufficiency. And self-sufficiency is attractive because it signals that you choose her. You do not need her to stabilize you. This is where emotional safety and desire meet, because desire is not about needing someone. It is about wanting them freely, and freedom only exists when there is no emotional coercion. So if you want to understand why some older men are deeply desired without trying, look at how they manage their inner world. Look at how they respond under pressure. Look at how they treat emotions, both theirs and others. Attraction is not something they manufacture. It is something they allow by being emotionally solid. And here is the reflection I want to leave you with. If your presence does not bring peace, it will never sustain desire, because true intimacy does not grow in chaos. It grows where the nervous system feels safe enough to stay. Now let's move into something most people underestimate, yet quietly shapes attraction more than appearance, status, or even confidence. Stillness. Not silence in the literal sense, but inner stillness. The kind that exists beneath words, beneath reactions, beneath the need to constantly assert oneself. Because when we talk about desire, especially desire directed toward an older man, we are really talking about how it feels to be in someone's emotional field. Most men believe they need to be impressive to be attractive. They fill space with opinions, stories, intensity, urgency. They think if they slow down, they will disappear. But what actually happens is the opposite. When a man does not rush to fill silence, he creates gravity. Stillness draws attention because it signals self-containment. It says, I am not threatened by emptiness. I am not afraid of being with myself. Psychologically, this matters deeply. A woman's nervous system is constantly reading microsignals. tone, pacing, reactions, emotional shifts. When a man is noisy on the inside, restless, reactive, emotionally jumpy, her system stays alert. Even if she is laughing, flirting, or engaged, part of her is bracing. Attraction might spark, but it cannot settle. Stillness allows settling. An older man who carries stillness does not react impulsively. He listens without interrupting. He pauses before responding. Not because he is calculating, but because he is present. This pause is powerful. It shows he is not governed by the need to dominate the interaction. He does not rush to correct, impress, or outperform. He allows space for meaning to emerge, and meaning is far more seductive than noise. There is also something philosophical here that is often missed. Stillness reflects inner alignment. When your values are clear, when your identity is integrated, you do not need to constantly announce yourself. You do not need external validation to confirm who you are. This inner coherence is felt long before it is understood. A woman may not consciously think, "This man is still," but she will feel that conversations with him feel different, calmer, slower, more real. She may notice she talks more, she shares more, she reflects more. This is not because he is passive, but because his presence invites depth. Contrast this with men who mistake emotional intensity for passion. They escalate quickly. They push conversations toward drama or urgency. They interpret emotional reactions as connection, but intensity burns energy. Stillness conserves it. And what conserves energy lasts longer. An older man who understands this does not compete with her emotions. When she is expressive, he does not try to match or overpower her emotional tone. He allows her experience to exist without becoming destabilized by it. This creates a subtle but profound shift in power dynamics. Not power over her, but power within himself. And that is what creates attraction that feels safe and strong at the same time. Stillness also communicates confidence in a way words never can. A man who is comfortable with silence is a man who does not fear being misunderstood. He does not rush to explain himself. He trusts that his consistency over time will speak louder than any performance. This trust in time is a sign of maturity. Younger attraction often lives in immediacy. Older attraction lives in pacing. A woman who desires intimacy with an older man is often responding to this pacing. The absence of pressure, the lack of emotional rush. She does not feel pulled forward faster than her system can process. She feels allowed to arrive at intimacy naturally. And here is where many misunderstand stillness. They assume it means distance, emotional unavailability, coldness. It does not. True stillness is warm. It is attentive. It is deeply engaged without being reactive. It is the difference between presence and pursuit. Presence says, "I am here." Pursuit says, "I need something from you." Stillness belongs to presence. From a psychological standpoint, stillness signals high self-regulation. Self-regulation is the ability to experience emotion without being controlled by it. This ability is often mistaken for emotional detachment, but it is the opposite. It requires awareness, discipline, and emotional intelligence. A woman trusts a man who can regulate himself. She senses that if conflict arises, he will not escalate it to protect his ego. She senses that if intimacy deepens, he will not panic or withdraw. She senses that his calm is not an act. It is a state he returns to. And this is why stillness feels rare. Most people are overstimulated, overreactive, constantly broadcasting themselves. When someone enters the room who does not need to do that, attention shifts. Not because he demands it, but because he holds it. This is also why stillness cannot be learned through techniques alone. It is the byproduct of inner work, of knowing who you are, of resolving internal conflicts, of not outsourcing your worth to external approval. When a woman feels that your inner world is stable, her body relaxes. When her body relaxes, desire deepens. This is not romantic theory, it is biology. A relaxed nervous system allows connection. A stressed one resists it. So if you want to understand why stillness is more attractive than noise, understand this: noise seeks control. Stillness holds power. And here is the reflection I want you to sit with. If your presence needs to be loud to be noticed, it is not grounded, because true attraction does not shout, it resonates. Now let's talk about the third element that quietly separates men who are admired from men who are merely tolerated: direction. Not control, not dominance, direction. And the difference matters more than most people realize. A woman who desires intimacy with an older man is not looking to be managed. She is not searching for someone to dictate her life or overshadow her identity. What she is responding to is something far subtler and far more powerful. The sense that this man knows where he is going, even if the path isn't perfectly mapped out. Direction is psychological clarity. It is the absence of drift. Many men confuse age with authority. They assume that simply having lived longer entitles them to lead. But direction is not granted by time. It is earned through self-honesty, through choices, through knowing what matters and being willing to live accordingly. A man with direction does not constantly ask the world who he should be. He has done that work privately. He has questioned himself, failed, adjusted, integrated, and because of this, his presence feels anchored. There is a quiet sense of momentum around him. His life is moving, even when it is calm. Women feel this immediately. Psychologically, humans are drawn to trajectories. We are wired to sense whether someone is evolving or merely repeating. A man who is stuck in routine without purpose feels stagnant. A man with direction feels alive, even in stillness. And this is why direction builds trust. Trust is not built through promises, it is built through coherence. When your words, values, and actions align, you become predictable in the healthiest way, not boring, reliable. A woman can relax into that reliability because she does not feel she must constantly reassess where she stands. Direction also means boundaries. A man who knows where he is going knows what does not belong in his life. He does not tolerate chaos just to avoid loneliness. He does not bend his standards to keep someone interested. He understands that clarity may cost him some connections, but confusion costs him his self-respect. This is deeply attractive because when a woman sees that you will walk away from what does not align with your values, she understands that if you choose her, it is not accidental. It is deliberate, and deliberate choice carries weight. Many men think attraction is about availability, being endlessly accommodating, always agreeable. But desire does not grow in endless flexibility. It grows in structure, in the sense that there is a frame within which intimacy can develop safely. Direction provides that frame. An older man with direction does not revolve around a woman, nor does he expect her to revolve around him. He has a life that existed before her and will continue regardless of outcome. This independence is not emotional distance, it is emotional maturity. It says, I want you, but I am not lost without you. And that distinction is everything. From a philosophical standpoint, direction is the embodiment of responsibility. Responsibility not as burden, but as authorship. You are the author of your life, not a character reacting to circumstances. When a man takes authorship seriously, his life gains narrative. There is a sense of continuity, purpose, and meaning. A woman entering that narrative does not feel like she must create meaning for him. She feels invited into something already alive. This relieves pressure. Many relationships fail not because of lack of love, but because one person is unconsciously asking the other to give their life direction. That is too heavy a role. Desire collapses under that weight. A woman who desires intimacy with an older man is often avoiding exactly that dynamic. She does not want to be someone's compass. She wants to walk beside someone who already has one. Direction also shows in how a man handles uncertainty. He does not panic when plans change. He does not become passive when answers are unclear. He adapts without losing himself. This flexibility within structure signals resilience. And resilience is seductive because life will challenge intimacy. There will be misunderstandings, external pressures, emotional fluctuations. A man with direction does not unravel when faced with these realities. He remains oriented. He adjusts course without abandoning his principles. This creates safety at a deeper level, not just emotional, but existential. She senses that this man can face life without collapsing or clinging. Importantly, direction is not about having everything figured out. It is about knowing what you are responsible for, your growth, your integrity, your choices. A man can be uncertain about outcomes and still be firm in direction. This honesty is refreshing. Women are not attracted to perfection. They are attracted to self-awareness paired with movement, to a man who is engaged in becoming, not pretending to have arrived. And here is the part many men overlook: direction must be lived, not announced. Talking about goals without daily alignment erodes credibility. Direction shows up in how you structure your time, how you speak about your life, how you invest your energy. Consistency creates trust. Trust deepens intimacy. When a woman feels that your life has shape, she does not feel the need to shape it for you. When she feels that you are grounded in your own path, she feels freer to bring her full self into connection rather than compensating for your uncertainty. This is the quiet power of direction. It does not demand obedience. It invites respect. So if you want to understand why direction creates attraction rather than control, ask yourself this: do people feel calmer or more confused after spending time with you? Do your choices reduce chaos or create it? Does your life reflect intention or avoidance? Because intimacy does not grow where there is drift. And here is the closing thought I want you to reflect on. If you do not know where you are going, no one can walk beside you for long. But when your direction is clear, the right people recognize it and choose to stay. Now we arrive at the point where everything comes together, because this is where most men fail. Not due to lack of desire, but due to imbalance. Emotional safety and direction are powerful on their own, but intimacy is not built on isolated traits. It is built on integration. When these two exist together, something rare is created. When one is missing, intimacy quietly collapses. Many men lean too far in one direction without realizing it. Some become emotionally safe but directionless. They listen endlessly, support endlessly, accommodate endlessly. They become reliable, understanding, available, but invisible. Desire fades not because they are bad men, but because intimacy cannot grow where polarity disappears. Safety without direction turns a man into an emotional resting place, not a chosen partner. Others lean into direction without safety. They are decisive, confident, ambitious, but emotionally rigid. Their lives are structured, their values firm, yet their presence feels tense. A woman may admire them, even respect them, but she cannot relax with them. And without relaxation, intimacy never fully opens. This is the paradox most people never talk about. Attraction lives in balance. Psychologically, emotional safety allows a woman to open. Direction allows her to trust. Opening without trust creates vulnerability without containment. Trust without opening creates distance. Intimacy requires both at the same time, continuously, not as a performance but as a way of being. When a woman desires intimacy with an older man, she is often unconsciously scanning for this integration. She is asking herself questions she may never articulate. Can I soften here without losing myself? Can I rely on this man without feeling controlled? Can I grow next to him, not beneath him? These questions are answered not through words, but through experience. An integrated man does not swing between extremes. He does not become emotionally indulgent when closeness increases, nor does he become rigid when boundaries are tested. He remains steady. His safety does not disappear when direction is required. His direction does not harden when emotion enters the room. This steadiness creates something profound: relational depth without anxiety. From a philosophical perspective, this balance reflects inner harmony. When a man has reconciled strength with compassion, autonomy with connection, discipline with empathy, his relationships become extensions of his inner order rather than attempts to fix inner chaos. A woman senses this immediately. She does not feel like she must earn your affection, nor does she feel like she must surrender herself to keep it. She does not feel tested, managed, or subtly corrected. She feels met, seen, chosen without being consumed. This is why integrated men do not need to chase intimacy. Intimacy moves toward them. They are not rushed. They are not needy. They are not withholding. They are present, intentional, and emotionally available without being emotionally dependent. This creates a rare relational environment, one where desire can mature instead of spike and crash. Here is where most misunderstand attraction. They think chemistry is something that happens instantly or not at all. But the deepest chemistry builds slowly, when safety allows desire to deepen and direction allows it to stabilize. This is not the attraction of fireworks. It is the attraction of gravity. Gravity does not shout, it pulls. An integrated man creates gravity because he offers something the modern relational world lacks: consistency without stagnation, leadership without control, openness without collapse. His presence does not overwhelm, it anchors. This also changes how conflict is handled. Conflict does not threaten intimacy when safety and direction coexist. Disagreement does not escalate into emotional warfare. Boundaries are expressed without cruelty. Repair happens without humiliation. This is what makes intimacy sustainable. A woman who desires this kind of connection is not looking for perfection. She is looking for reliability of character, for someone whose emotional responses make sense, whose values remain intact under pressure, whose care does not disappear when challenged. And this is why this balance cannot be faked. You cannot act emotionally safe when you are internally chaotic. You cannot act directed when you are internally avoidant. Over time, your patterns will reveal you. Intimacy is the most honest mirror a man will ever face. So the work is not about learning techniques. It is about becoming coherent. Coherence means your inner world and outer behavior tell the same story. It means your calm is real, not performative. Your boundaries are firm, not defensive. Your presence is generous, not transactional. When a woman encounters this, something shifts. She no longer feels like intimacy is risky. She no longer feels like she must guard herself. She does not fear losing herself or managing you. She feels free to choose you fully, and choice is the foundation of desire. This is the kind of intimacy that does not rely on manipulation, scarcity, or emotional games. It does not need constant reassurance. It does not thrive on uncertainty. It deepens through trust, time, and shared reality. An older man who embodies this balance understands something essential: intimacy is not something you extract from another person. It is something you create through who you are. So if you want to reflect honestly, ask yourself this. When people come close to you, do they feel steadier or more confused? Do they feel safer and more oriented, or emotionally drained and uncertain? Your relationships are answering these questions even when you avoid them. And here is the final thought to leave you with. Intimacy is not built by choosing safety or strength. It is built when you become the man who can hold both, without losing himself.